This is where all the big stuff happens right here with Reverend Frank Ritchie. Good morning, Rev.
Morning, team.
There you go.
There we are.
It's lovely to hang out. It was a lovely drive too. The traffic in Auckland is back to normal. It was really slow, but the sunrise was happening. The moon was out as my daughter and I left the mighty Waikato. So we were watching the moon descend on one side and the sunrise on the other. It was a beautiful image of God's creation in play. I was reading Proverbs 18 yesterday because it was the 18th of January, and this verse stood out to me. Proverbs 18 verse 2, and I'm reading from the NRSV. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing personal opinion. The NIV says something like, a fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only takes delight in expressing personal opinion. And I just thought that's my world. That's social media. And that's much of what the last couple of years has probably caused the most stress in my life, was rather than slowing down and seeking understanding, that quick reaction to news headlines, to stories, to other people's thoughts, that desire just to blurt my opinion out rather than slowing down. I just thought it was a great piece of wisdom.
We do get caught up in these opinions, and so how do we navigate that?
It's really good to understand what social media rewards and to critique it. Social media rewards us reacting to things really quickly and reacting explosively. The more controversial, the more out there, the more emotive your opinion, the more people are going to hit like, the more they're going to comment, and the more that dopamine starts racing in the brain. Your body just gets hit with all these rewards for acting like that on social media. So I think one of the first places to go is to understand that it's designed to do that to you, and that we're in a battle against that. The scriptural way of being, the way that God calls us to, is a way that's slower, that understands our nature, that wants to offer something better into the world than just our very quick reactions to things. It's also worth understanding that we like to think we're logical creatures, that we are well thought out in every opinion that we hold. It's not true. We are first and foremost emotional creatures who make decisions emotionally, and then we search for a logic, not the logic. We search for a logic to back up our emotional decisions. So when it comes to social media, then, it's worth understanding that largely the decisions that we've been made have been emotional. So what does it mean, as this proverb encourages, to slow down and to seek understanding?
So within that, then, how do we actually become a better listener? Like, how do we seek understanding in a more profound way with those around us?
One of the things that I'm going to be really big on this year, and I think we might have touched on it last time, is the spiritual disciplines. So you're pushing water uphill with a rake if you're not practicing anything in your life that teaches you to slow down and to listen, and then hoping that you might react really well when you're in the pressure of the situation. So the practice of silence, the practice of slowing down, the practice of listening when you're on your own. And it can be as simple as sitting in silence and just listening for the sounds that are going on around you and acknowledging God in those sounds. And as you practice those things, then when it comes to the pressure of the moment, you're more equipped to be able to respond well. If we just trust that when my emotions are running high and I'm on social media, that I might act like Jesus, it's not going to happen. In order to act like Jesus, you have to do what Jesus did when he was away from the crowd, which was slowing down. It was prayer. We see talk about Jesus going away and praying all night. He wasn't talking all night. A lot of that would have been quiet, listening to the Father. There's the wonderful, I think it's the end of Luke chapter 5, where it talks about the crowds coming, and it says, but Jesus withdrew to deserted places to pray. So when the pressure of the crowd came on, he went somewhere else to pray. And you see him doing that regularly. And if we're not doing that, but expecting that we'll act like him, we're dreaming.
I want to challenge you and flip it on the other side. If some people are quick, right, to offer their opinion, let's just say they haven't got that silence that they need. How do you deal with that when you're bombarded with all these opinions? You're bombarded with maybe a whole lot of this negativity, and on the receiving end of that?
Again, being able to assess where those people are coming from is really important. One of the things that's most challenged me in my career, and I am going to link this, I was working for Tier Fund, and we were starting to get into the space of human trafficking, most specifically sexual exploitation. And I remember getting to this space, doing all the research for Tier Fund, making sure we were using good statistics and coming up with good, solid, well-researched stories, and hearing the horrific things that would go on, particularly for young ladies, and getting really angry about the perpetrators. And I was like, wow, I'm against the death penalty, but for some people. And we should throw them in prison. And then I found out about this ministry that devoted a lot of its time to praying for the perpetrators of human trafficking. And it confronted me because I totally believe in Jesus' challenge to love your enemies. But how do I do that? Well, I pray for them. So the same goes when we're in social media. If I can stop and pray for the perpetrators of human trafficking, then maybe rather than just reacting to that bite that is hurt from someone else that I want to defend myself in front of, maybe the challenge that Jesus is offering us here is to pause, to love, and to pray. Can I just say, though, that I'm not perfect at this?
Oh, no.
So this is one of those cases where I am learning and growing in the things that I'm saying as well. So be encouraged when you stumble just as I do. The call is there to just keep on coming back.